Hello, thank you all for coming today. I'm very nervous, but hopefully I'll be fine. So I'm Stephen Peckham, owner of Eartha, which is a pop-up plant shop. I specialise in indoor plants. I also stock the work of local makers, jewellery, ceramics, prints. Eartha is a relatively new business. I've been trading for under a year now. And it's been going very well, luckily. I was previously in Duke Street Arcade before moving to Milgie this month. And I was really flattered and terrified when Creative Mornings approached me. And I was bemused to find out the theme was Restart. As Lowry suggested, restarting is something I've probably done a concerning amount of times in my life. But I'd like to discuss today how all of that has sort of fed into what I do today. And this project came out of restarting actually when earlier this year I was going through a period of depression. And I took myself out of work to focus on my mental health and focus on where I wanted my life to go next. Before I delve into how I came to realize Eartha, I'd like to delve into the past and explain why I'm a bit of a serial restarter and how I got to where I am today. I had a bit of a turbulent adolescence. I lost both my parents when I was 13, sort of making me a bit like Batman without all the money and abs. I'm the youngest of five. I was very lucky that my eldest brother was able to mortgage the council house where we were living, and we grew up together. You can imagine 5 grieving adolescents was a bit mad, but we made it through. So I was quite naughty in school. I was in and out a lot, but I had an interest in botany quite young, and I thought about maybe pursuing a career in it, but I was crap at science, and with everything else going on, it didn't seem feasible. But I could draw to some degree, and so these are sort of GCSE drawings, and clearly I was interested in the design in nature. And this for me was sort of my gateway to higher education, not being a natural academic or coming from a background where anyone went to uni. This was my ticket really to expanding my worldview. And so I later went to University of the Arts in London. I studied book arts and design, which sounds like a really specific course, but it was actually quite varied. We learned fine bookbinding, as you saw, illustration, graphic design, and lots. And university for me was way more than just what I was learning inside the classroom. It was what I was learning outside of it. London being a massive melting pot of different cultures and backgrounds and art. And it was just an amazing time for me to establish really, really good relationships with people and understand my place in the world more, really. So after graduating, one of my first jobs was working for the Trout Department here in Cardiff. The Trout Department's a production company that mostly specialises in documentary work, but we also worked on a book project together and a photography project. This is one where I had to stand in as a model, and if you can kind of make out this smaller pixelated person, that's me. This was quite interesting actually, because this was a 3-day shoot in Llandudno in North Wales, and Milgie catered the shoot, and that's where I first got to know Beck, and probably is the reason why I was able to wrangle my way into Milgie now. So if there's a lesson to be learned, it's be nice to everyone on set, but particularly the catering. It might get you more than some extra chips. And I did this for under a year, and then I felt the need to go traveling. I'd done a bit of it whilst in London and just wanted to do more of it whilst I sort of could. So I packed my bags. I went to South America and was there for about half a year. I tried to do this as inexpensively as possible. I worked with a website called Workaway. So I worked on farms, in hostels, with families, and that basically would cover my food and board. I also couch surfed a lot, which led to some interesting situations. But overall, it was an incredible experience. I got to witness so much natural beauty, the Atacama Desert, the Andes, Iguazu Falls, and I'll take those memories with me all my life. And then I came back, very tanned, but very broke, and got a hospitality job at Barca Tea House, where I soon became manager. Probably physically one of the most demanding jobs I've ever done. And here I learned a lot of the less sexy parts of business management, like HMRC, accounting, team management, and systemized ordering. So it kind of has helped me out today. I also met a lot of amazing people, actually, that have helped with Eartha. After that, I'd sort of developed a bit of a liking of the Spanish language whilst I was in South America. So without ever having been there, I decided to move to Madrid. I was there for 2 years. I got a good grasp of the Spanish language there, which sometimes helps with the scientific names of plants. And that's really where I got into houseplants. There were always lots of amazing shops. This is one I used to go to a lot. And I would just go in and pester the woman and be like, what's this, what's this, what's this? How do I keep it alive? And I had this really cute flat, and it was just like an indoor garden, kind of what you see here. And out in Madrid, to get by, I taught in primary schools. So this is me with one of my classes. Notice how much hair I had at the beginning of the year. And yeah, this was such a wonderful job. Again, really creative. I loved nurturing young minds. And I really thought this was actually what I could do for the rest of my life. So I came back to Wales, decided to pursue this seriously. I taught in a primary school in Caerphilly as an art teacher. And it was basically sort of like Dangerous Minds with Michelle Pfeiffer. And I think I quickly saw how much pressure teachers are in the British education system, and thought, no, sadly. And then so I sort of had to go back to the drawing board. I think I remember this time I applied for a job in a garden centre and got turned down, so that's a bit of a bummer. And then, I thought about who I was. I really like film. I'm gay, surprise. And so then I worked for the Irish Film Prize. I rang Berwyn, the director, and I said, basically, I'm going to work for you. He said he'd never been scared of someone over the phone before, and it turns out that sort of thing works. And yeah, amazing experience, really good for making contacts, learned a lot about the media marketing, event management, and yeah, it was a wonderful time. But this was my last job before going into a period of depression. And so I came out of that and I started to do yoga, cycling, swimming, anything to help the mind. I also contacted Cardiff Mind, the amazing mental health charity, and they were amazing. They offered me counselling and able to sort of process a lot of the events that had happened earlier in my life that I hadn't and was probably too young to at the time. And after about 2 months, I then started to come back to this idea of opening a plant shop, because plants have always helped me with my mental health, the idea of nurturing something, the beauty of natural design. And so I went to the Prince's Trust. They put me on an enterprise course. That was a week long, which was amazing. And very quickly, it all started to happen. I launched a crowdfunder around the time of my birthday. And I was really amazed to reach the target in 24 hours. And and then it continued to go over the course of 2 weeks, and yeah, I felt very blessed. And what was beautiful about this, it wasn't just Cardiffians pledging, it was people all over the world and people that I'd had the privilege of making connections with that just wanted to see this happen. And I'm so pleased that it did. And then coming to the branding and incorporating previous skills from my degree, two of my best friends, Leonard and Rahel, did the branding for me, and it's so lovely that I get to have them with me every day, even though they're based in London. I curated care cards for the different species that I stock, and they're made of recycled paper, and they just give a bit more information about the species, watering, light, care, and the scientific name, the common name, just to enable whoever really to be able to engage with keeping their plants alive and understanding them more, regardless of their background. And so it's been going well. Luckily, I had very humble cash flows, and I've been reaching targets and going beyond them, which is great. And so with profit, I've been able to engage with local makers. I've been able to commission some ceramics that are unique to the store. I have Amy Out Designs, who's here today, which is great. Printmaker Tom Rolfe, and many more. What's also great is I started to engage with Butte Park and the council nurseries, so trying to be more ethical about how I source the plants as well. This is great. There's very little carbon footprint with those plants, and it's better for the customers because it's just a lot cheaper. I also started to work with the amazing women who sell on Riverside Market, basically growing plants in their garden to help raise money for a refugee community kitchen. And so basically I have plants here that you pay whatever you want for. That money, then 100% of that money goes to Calais to provide meals. And with this platform, I've helped to provide over 1,000 meals, which is great. I also work with Size of Wales, an environmental charity that is basically working in developing parts of the world to plant forests the size of Wales to combat climate change. And so I've done schemes where a percentage of my sales will go towards the charity, and basically you buy a plant, a tree gets planted. We're working on a campaign for Christmas now where you can actually purchase trees to be planted for your loved ones. Yeah, that's kind of the journey so far. And I feel a bit bashful to really offer any professional advice after kind of going through my professional history. But what I would like to share is just ways that I've approached life in general and how that's allowed me to live a really privileged life. That starts with being curious, being open to others, particularly people unlike yourself. Life is so varied and rich, and variety is the spice of life. So I think put yourself out there, travel, and engage with others. Be creative, kind of a given in this room. But again, there's so many ways to be creative, to look at this in a retail perspective, like with what I'm doing. Question in the beginning, do you really need your own space? Do you want to commit to all of those overheads? If you're not finding the property you want on agents' websites, then go out, find vacant properties, post letters. There's lots of ways to challenge the status quo and potentially get what you want and need. Be considerate, again, a given, be nice. Remind each other and your friends and your loved ones why you're happy to have them in your life. Write letters. Write more than happy birthday in your next birthday card. And lastly, be courageous. Yeah, be brave, go for it. So much of my life I would have said to myself, you'll never get a degree, you won't be able to learn Spanish, you won't open a plant shop. And I guess if you're somewhat self-deprecating like me, prove yourself wrong. And lastly, to finish on the theme of the talk, restart. As someone who's done that a lot, when you restart, you never truly begin again, you're restarting with tools, and you're a more resilient, resourceful person, and you'll have contacts, and you'll be in a much better position than previously. And who knows what you'll be able to achieve by doing that, and what you'll help others to achieve in turn. Thank you very much. Cheers.